Hi everyone! In this video we will solve radical equations. Solve the square root of 30m plus 54 minus m equals 9. Our goal in these is to isolate the radical. To do that we will add m to both sides. So we get the square root of 30m plus 54 equals m plus 9. Now that we have the radical isolated, we can go ahead and square both sides. This is why we isolated the radical, because when I square the square root, they cancel, and we're left with 30m plus 54. And on the right side, we have m plus 9 squared. This means that I have m plus 9 times m plus 9. And we can go ahead and FOIL this, or we can use the pattern for a perfect square, which squares the first, doubles the product, and squares the last. Either way works just fine. I'm going to go ahead for the time's sake of our video, and I will use the pattern for a perfect square. This means that I square the first, then I double the product. 9 times m is 9m. Doubling that gives me positive 18m, and then squaring the last gives us positive 81. Now we need to move all of the terms to one side and set it equal to 0. So we'll subtract 30m from both sides, and making sure that we combine all of our like terms. And we'll also subtract 54 from both sides. Then 30m minus 30m cancels. 54 minus 54 cancels. And so we have 0 equals, nothing combined with the m squared, so it stays. 18 minus 30m gives us negative 12m, and then positive 81 minus 54 is a positive 27. Now we need to factor this and use the zero product property, because this is in the form of a equals 1, meaning the number or the coefficient in front of the m is a 1. This means that we only need to look at the numbers for c and factor that. So we'll go up here and do 27. It factors into 1 and 27 and 3 and 9. Then we look at our signs. This positive says that all of the factors will be the same sign, and this negative tells us what those signs are. So we can go ahead and fill this in, that all of these will be negative, and we want a pair that will give us the number negative 12. Negative 3 plus negative 9 is negative 12, so we'll use those two factors, and we'll replace our negative 12, so we have 0 equals m squared minus 3m minus 9n, m plus 27. And now we'll go ahead and factor by grouping. The first two terms have a greatest common factor of m, so we'll factor it out and we're left with m minus 3. The other two have a greatest common factor of 9, and because the first one is negative, we'll go ahead and factor out a negative 9, leaving this first one a positive m, and this as a minus 3. Now we have two very large terms here, and we'll factor out the greatest common factor between those, which is the binomial m minus 3. And when we factor it out of the first one, we're left with m, and factor it out of the second one, we'll have minus 9. Because our equation is equal to 0, this means that we can use the zero product property and set each of these factors equal to 0. So we have m minus 3 equals 0 and m minus 9 equals 0. We'll add 3 to both sides for the first one, and we get m equals positive 3. We'll add 9 to both sides here, and we end up with m equals positive 9. Now we have two answers, but we do need to go back and check these answers by putting them into the original, just to make sure that we didn't accidentally come up with a wrong answer because we had squared a square root. So we'll go back to the original, and we have the square root of 30 times m, and let's check our first one, 3 plus 54 minus m again, which is 3. I'm going to extend that over the 54, equals positive 9. 3 times 30 is 90, plus 54. 90 plus 54 is 144. And finish writing these out. The square root of 144 is 12. And 12 minus 3 does in fact equal 9, which tells us that the solution of m equals 3 is correct. Now let's go ahead and substitute our second one in, which is m equals 9. And we have the square root of 30 times 9 plus 54 minus m, which was 9, and see if it equals 9. 30 times 9 is 270, and this is still under the radical. Minus 9 equals 9. 270 plus 54 is 324, minus 9 equals 9. The square root of 324 is 18, and 18 minus 9 is 9, which does equal 9, and so that tells us that both of these solutions of m equals 3 and m equals 9 are correct, and we're all done.